Hey Adam,
Hey Sean, how's it going?
we made it work. We made it work.
Yes, finally got it going.
Finally got it going. Well, thanks for joining, and thanks
No
everyone for
worries.
logging on. I know you're all busy. So as I was mentioning, this is part of a series called Changemakers, where I interview social entrepreneurs, thought leaders who are making a difference by pivoting their businesses towards a more conscious approach, sustainable approach to business. And this is the first live stream of many from interviews around the world on these topics, which of course even more important now in the age of COVID, that we don't waste this opportunity to create a new normal, which is also a great opportunity. So I've been reading a book by Lily Cole. It's entitled "Who Cares Wins," and she correctly.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if you've read it, Adam, but it's good reading. But she's pointing to this new paradigm where businesses have to show that they care about the environment or communities. Otherwise, they're going to lose out. And actually, new statistics point to this. A new study that came out from goodmustgrow.com saying that 29% of respondents said that they were purchased from a socially responsible brand, and 68% stated that they would consider its ability to have a positive effect on society and the environment as one of the key factors in buying or purchasing their brand. So anyway, that's enough of the preamble. Over to you, Adam. You are the founder of Mazu Resortwear. Woohoo!
Yes.
And I also wear your trunks. Do you call them trunks?
It depends where you come from around the world. I think some people call them swim shorts, trunks, like boardies. I think like you go to Australia and everyone calls them boardies, but boardies to you and me may be like longer, kind of surfer style shorts. But yeah, trunks.
No ball crushers or speedos.
No, not yet. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Let's see. Okay, and just give us
Yeah.
a little quick background about why you started it and what you inspired to start this brand.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I started it based upon a book that my dad wrote, which was called Temples in Hong Kong. And I couldn't find a kind of an Asian-inspired brand in Hong Kong, and even in Asia. So all the brands that were being sold here or being represented here all kind of came from a Western background. And I thought to myself, well, Hong Kong and Asia have some of the most beautiful destinations in the world. Why is there no representation? And obviously, like Hong Kong, which is obviously Herngong, fragrant harbor in Chinese, it kind of makes it quite a unique link. And yeah, and then basically set my goals to kind of do what I can to help ocean conservation. And I remember at the start of the business, I thought to myself, I'm going to do everything I can to throw in everything I do to help ocean conservation. But, you know, like there's some challenges along the way, which I'm sure we'll get into shortly.
Really, it's
Yeah.
hard conservation pay, but as we're going to find out, you know, being sustainably minded is paying off dividends. So what made you, because not all Mazu wear is made from recycled plastic, but you've launched this new line of bamboo. I believe you're wearing one of the bamboo shirts now, and you've also launched a new line of trunks which are made out of recycled plastic. What made you pivot towards this more sustainable direction?
Well, like I said, at the start, the goal was always to kind of have a brand that was going to be sustainable. When you're starting off as an entrepreneur, it's actually really difficult to find. And 7 years ago, 8 years ago, even 9 years ago, when I was first initially trying to develop the concept, I couldn't find any good factories that were able to produce the quantities that I want and the quality that I want with sustainable materials. It was a lot harder back then. I mean, it was available, but the problem was they were demanding, you know, 20,000 pieces, and for a startup company, it's a difficult challenge to sell 20,000 pieces in your first go. So it was about building the foundation first, and then as years progressed and technology came better, I was able to find fabrics that truly represented the designs and photography that were able to, as well as the quality that matched my standard for swimwear, basically. And that's how.
And you mentioned before that
recycled. Yeah, no, and that's how we developed the recycled. Yeah.
Sorry, finish off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's how we developed the Mazu, recycled plastic range, basically.
Okay, great. And just quickly going back, you mentioned something about interesting, which is not necessarily about sustainability, but there aren't many Asian brands sort of selling Asia or the aesthetic of Asia to a global community. Why is that? Why do Asians always value something from the West or from elsewhere?
I think obviously from a fashion point of view, I think it's all about name brands. I mean, you look at other Asian brands that are doing well. I mean, the perfect example in Hong Kong would be Shanghai Tang. Back in the 90s, they were doing really well, and then don't know what quite happened since then. But that's a different story. But I think it's the balance between East meets West kind of thing, because I think Asian style is not always preferred by a lot of people, but then the Western style is a mixture of different kind of fits and different collars. And I mean, you're wearing a normal collar today and I'm wearing a Mandarin collar, but the little differences, some people prefer that, some people don't, and it's trying to find a balance. And I guess being half Chinese and half English, it kind of allows me to try and find that balance, so it allows people to enjoy both aspects, which is what I try to do.
Appa.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Something like that. And with this new direction with sustainability, tell me, you talked a little bit about the challenges of creating that. Have you seen that this actually works in your favor from a business point of view? Is this affecting your bottom line, or is it bringing in new sales and new revenue?
Yes, I mean, we released a line that we worked with the Hong Kong Dolphin Conservation Society. And we donated 10% of our proceeds to and sales of those shorts to them, and it definitely helped, because at the end of the day, the pink dolphins is actually completely unique to Hong Kong. You can't find pink dolphins anywhere else in the world. Only place you can find pink dolphins is in Brazil, but they're freshwater dolphins. But it's something to do with the sea, the sand, and kind of the pollution around the Hong Kong area has actually unfortunately turned the dolphins pink in this region, and the numbers are diminishing very quickly. But the overall species, in terms of because they're actually called the Chinese white dolphin, which in the Pearl River Delta there is thousands of, so they're not actually classified as a kind of extinct species, or going to be, because the larger species is actually still doing very well, but somehow they turned pink in Hong Kong, and it's completely unique to this region, which is I think it's quite cool. And for a swimwear brand, I think dolphins is quite a good design to show off, in terms of it's got Western values, because dolphins are very intelligent and things like that, but the pinkness is very unique to Hong Kong, which is that kind of angle that we're trying to go for. And yeah, and it helps, definitely helps. We got a lot of good publicity about it, and it's definitely sold out in some designs, and yeah, I'd like to do more. And the next step was the recycled plastic. So yeah, and I think there's still more to come, I think.
Do you envisage a future where basically all your products are made out of sustainable materials?
Yeah, I think eventually. I mean, I'm definitely trying to. I mean, I look what Adidas is doing, and I think what they're doing to make a goal to basically go fully sustainable by 2024, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's to make that transition doesn't happen instantly. It has to take time. I mean, you and I know that there is so much plastic around in the world, and trying to reduce it, instantly is quite hard. So it takes steps. we're starting to use kind of more sustainable bags as well, in terms of just, so we're working with a company called Distinctive Action, and they kind of have these kind of bags that you can put in hot water, and they're completely disposable and have no environmentally, they're good for the environment, and you can, it's pretty cool. So I think we can all take steps, and I think the best thing about plastic and the worst thing about plastic is that it's such a great material, and when you're shipping boxes away, you need something to protect it, especially when you're shipping to clients or things like that. So we try to use recycled boxes as well. So some of them that we use more than once, and to at least have more than multiple different uses, which I think is the key when it comes to sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, plastic is an amazing material, but that's what makes it such a dangerous material, because of its disposability. As we know, over 8 million tons, well, probably more than that, is thrown into the ocean every year. Only 10% of plastics that have ever been produced have ever been recycled. You know all the statistics, but one interesting statistic here, which I want to sort of test you on, is, as much as 20 or 35% of all primary source microplastics in the marine environment are from synthetic clothing. Now, the fashion industry has a lot to answer. I think, we're only now waking up to the devastation that the fashion industry has wrought on the world. It is now being recognized as the first or second most polluting industry in the world, and the fashion industry has to really change its way. What this conversation is all about. But how do you specifically, if people are washing your clothes and that's causing some of those microplastics to go into the ocean, what do you say to that?
I mean, it's difficult, because there's a balance between cheapness and quality, right? Not everyone can afford to buy the most expensive things, or not necessarily the most expensive, but the highest of qualities. And usually the ones that are the highest of qualities are the most expensive things. And, fast fashion, the likes of, the big names, they're churning out things so quickly to the point where people are maybe even using them one time and then unfortunately throwing them away. So I've always had that philosophy of, like, things have got to have more than one purpose. At least you have multiple purposes for them. Like, we're developing a kind of a rash vest that potentially can be used as a jumper and a rash vest. So it kind of eliminates two things. And I think, like I said, I think that's the key when it comes to sustainability. I mean, like, even if you do end up using a t-shirt from a big name brand, if it does wear out, maybe use it as a rag for your floor, or at least have some use that is more than what it should be. And no, you're right. The fashion world has a lot to answer for, and I think if we can all go over to more sustainable fabrics, the better it is. I just think it takes time, and I think you can see the progression happening now. It just takes a bit of time, unfortunately.
We just had a question posted by Richard Chamber. Thanks, Richard. Question just a little bit, so I'm not always asking the questions. What's your biggest challenge, Adam, in convincing people to choose usually more expensive, sustainable products? Thank you, Richard. I know Richard obviously comes from a brand that actually does a lot of good sustainable stuff. So actually, he's putting you on the.
Yeah, he has. He knows he has. I mean, his company that he works for actually does a lot of good stuff. I think when it comes to trying to, it's not the right word to say, but getting people to pay more for sustainable, I think it all comes down to branding. There is a reason why people wear certain clothes, because of that connotation of what the brand represents. And and if the brand represents kind of recycled things, why do people drive Priuses? Or why do people have Teslas? There's certain brand values that people buy into. And I think that's part of the reason why people pay more money for certain things. But at the same time, like, you know, now sustainability in fashion is a lot cheaper than it used to be. Like, you know, I can order a lot less quantities with my factory than what I said before, like 20,000 pieces. And I'm sure Richard Chambers' company, they can do a lot smaller quantities now as well with sustainable fabrics, which opens the door for more brands and more people to be able to enter the market, which is a good thing, I guess. More competitors love competition.
Absolutely. Well, what's the company that Richard works? Shameless plug.
He works for, yeah, he works for a sports company called Tsunami.
Okay, cool.
And they do like customized sports apparel, which is pretty cool. And actually, Chambers' brother has done a really good job kind of developing that brand. And now I think they're, if I might be wrong, but I think they're 100% sustainable as well now, which is quite good. And they do all sports apparel. So there you go.
Next
Tsunami's on the board.
Okay, just actually as a quick plug for another brand, there's on this topic of microplastics, up to 700,000 microplastic particles can be released into the environment during every one laundry cycle. So, you know, whenever we put synthetic clothes into the washing machine, you know, obviously we want to get clean clothes, but we don't realize the damage that that's causing down the line in the oceans. So there's a brand called Guppy, which is like a microplastic bag which you can put your synthetic clothes in to stop the microplastics from leaching into the water. And that's a great recommendation for anyone out there. Katrina, who's on the line, my girlfriend recommended that to me. So she actually just showed them to me today. So I highly recommend everyone to check out Guppy, because I think that's a great little, really easy way of stopping the microplastics from getting into the ocean ecosystem.
Yeah. I think the key is that everyone can do their part. I mean, it's impossible. And I admire the people, there are some, you know, influencers you follow that they completely cut plastic out of their lives. And I'm amazed that, you know, you can do, I'm going to challenge myself for a month to try and cut out single-use plastics. But yeah, it's difficult. And
it's difficult,
yeah.
but well worth trying. And your friend Richard is quite keen, actually. I can just let him ask the questions. What's on the horizon and what excites you most about the available technology? It's a good question, because technology obviously is going to have to play a big part in trying to reduce this impact that we're having.
Yeah, I think the biggest part of technology towards fashion is the way we recycle things. So I think, as I'm sure Richard knows, and if people don't know, the way kind of plastic gets recycled, it has to go through a lot of processes to kind of, make sure it's clean so that they can break the plastic down in order to turn it into fabrics and different things like that. So I think that technology to potentially, you know, like bottle caps, and we don't all need labels on the bottles, for example. If you're going to drink out of, the water companies can do more to make the whole recycling process better. And there are companies out there that don't have labels on them that are like kind of embedded into the plastic, and it's better for recycling. And I think as the technology comes along, we'll be more efficient, definitely at recycling quicker than that we can then therefore reduce the labor, because the labor is the biggest problem when it comes to factories to reproduce plastic. Because people think, oh, once you throw it in the bin, that's it. It's going to go to a factory. But no, you know, it has to go to a factory plant, then it gets turned down, go to another factory. Then there's a long process before it actually becomes an actual fabric. So technology will definitely enhance that a lot better, for sure.
And you touched on
in terms of
costs, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, lag.
No, go for it.
You know, because oil is so cheap now, recycling plastic has become economically a burden, whereas there were a lot of recycling factories in Hong Kong, but also around the world, which are now going out of business because it doesn't make sense from a financial point of view. So there has to be some sort of government incentivization,
Yeah.
to subsidize this activity. And I think it's basically a combination of customers wanting to pay a premium for these expensive procedures to happen, for products that, you know, are being recycled or upcycled, and also government subsidizing the people on the ground collecting it and then processing it. Because I don't think just customers alone can make it work. I don't know, Richard, are you still there? I don't know. Does it work for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, like, I
logged
think.
Off. Maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the breaking down of plastic in terms of reuse, to be able to reuse it. I mean, I have a good friend that has towels made out of recycled plastic, and the process is yeah, Rupert Bird, yeah. They make really good plastic towels.
Great.
Yeah. She's not. I don't think she's here, but she'll like that we gave her a little plug. Oh, Rich is back. He's back. Yeah.
So HK Permy said, vote with our wallets. Absolutely. That's what we have to do. We have to vote with our wallets and buy brands which are a more sustainable, adhere at least to SDG goals such as number 6 and have a stronger CSR. So vote with your wallet and buy Mazu.
Yeah. Well, the recycled plastic stuff, we'll slowly change over to recycled plastic shorts as soon as we can. Yeah. But you know, I think like...
Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, go for it.
I'm just going to quickly switch gears here because I got into a little bit of a heated debate about this. I don't know if you've heard about the recent scandal with Oatly. I'm a big fan of Oatly. I drink Oatly, and then all this cancel campaigns come out to get rid of it because Blackstone is one of the investors, and they actually use canola oil. And a lot of people are now, a lot of campaigners and activists are saying, don't drink Oatly, which draws into question, like, you know, how far do you go? Like, by using recycled plastic in your brand, Adam, are you actually doing is it actually doing any good? Or is it more greenwash? Where do you draw the line?
I know exactly what you mean. I think at the end of the day, like, it's about building awareness, right? If I can, I mean, I'm not the perfect advocate of, you know, having to reduce plastic, and actually the next month or so, I'm going to try and reduce as much plastic. I'm going to do a video blog every day, starting from today, and we talked about this, and going to try and really go through Hong Kong life by only try to use as least single plastic as possible. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll keep a video blog of how that's going. But like I think it's about building the awareness. I think like my company is no Adidas or no kind of big brands, but you know, we don't produce that big volumes. But at the end of the day, it's about building the awareness and kind of making people more conscious about it. Obviously, people are doing it already with the straws, and you know, 5 years ago, people were using plastic straws, and now the awareness and making people think about it. And 5 years on, I've not used a straw for over 3-4 months, and if I do use a straw, it's one of those kind of reusable ones or metal ones or things like that. So, and then obviously with the plastic bags, all supermarkets now in Hong Kong especially, and I know in other places around the world have completely cut plastic bags. And I think it's just about building the awareness. If I can spread the message on, even if it affects 1 or 2 people, those 1 or 2 people could affect 2 or 3 people, and then eventually we can slowly make a change. Whether it makes effect, I don't think I mean, you have a lot more followers than me, but I don't think I don't think I have that much influence on people to tell them not to use plastic as much as possible.
Right. Well, everyone's got to do their bit. And Richard just came back
Yeah.
saying steps in production of recycled plastic is something his brand are continually scrutinizing, and the development over the last 2-3 years has been incredibly promising. Thanks, Richard. So there is progress on that front. Lam Jackie asked the question: how recycling plastic towels reduce microplastics pollution? It's a good question, because you're recycling plastic, and then you're potentially putting that microplastic back into the ocean when you wash it. And I don't think that's really been thought out yet. I think Lam Jackie, or Jackie probably, you got to use a guppy bag to wash your synthetic towel in the guppy bag. That stops the microplastic from getting into the water, which then goes into the ocean. So I hope that that helps. Which is a good point, actually. It brings me to this. Like, you know, I think part of the problem is you're an entrepreneur. It's hard enough to pay the bills in this, especially in this economy. There's no like manual out there to say this is the guide to being a social or sustainable entrepreneur. I mean, you kind of have to go out and fudge your way through, or walk, you know, fumble in the dark. And this is something that we've been trying to think about in Project Sea Change, is like, how do we create a community where there are successful entrepreneurs out there who can actually say, this is what you do, these are the suppliers for this kind of product, et cetera, et cetera. Adam, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I spent years trying to find the right fabric, and I'm sure there are thousands of people trying to find the same kind of recycled fabric as well. And it's probably a good thing that the community helps each other as well. Like, I think it's very important for everyone to share. If anyone's looking for sustainable brands, I think it's also very important to share amongst the community as well. But yeah, like you said, I think everyone can do their part. It's all about those little details and all those little bits, because at the end of the day, all those little things will add up to one big thing. So I've got a towel here, and actually it's not like it's done by Rupert and Bird, and like I think it's very hard to see them, but I think I need to get myself a gupping bag.
Get a guppy bag.
Yeah.
I had a great question from my good friend Sean Fitzpatrick, the other Sean in the Sean sandwich. He has asked a very question, and he brought this up the other day. He was like, he's heard that or read an article about the fact that recycled plastic fibers are so hot right now that brands are actually buying new plastic bottles, melting them down to meet the demand for recycled plastic. So how can brands like yourself be aware or sure of the provenance of the recycled plastic? Because that's a good point. If you're taking a plastic bottle and then melting it down to make more recycled plastic bottles, it's kind of negates the whole point. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, I heard about this. I heard some factories in China are trying to, because they're trying to hop on the whole recycled plastic bandwagon, and there are certain certificates that are out there that you can ask the factory to send you, and make sure you double check and do your due diligence and things like that. And because when I started working with the likes of the W and the Four Seasons, I had to make sure, because if they're doing audit, I had to make sure that I won't get in trouble. And I went to go visit the factory and see the whole process, as well as have the certificates to kind of show that it is made from recycled, because they get it from recycling plants. Now, where the recycling plant gets it from it's hard to say, because they get it from different sources because Chinese government are a lot better than Hong Kong government when it comes to recycling programs. It's hard to say if the recycle comes from the ocean, because they basically bring it all together and then they kind of break it down and use it there. But they do get their sources from multiple different things that are recycling programs from the government, picking up from oceans and different things like that. So it's hard to say exactly. I can't say, oh, I picked up this bottle from Taiwan and then now it's in the factory. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. I would love to make a product that's like specifically trash that's picked up from a certain region, then do something with that. But I don't know yet at the moment. But yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's keep trying, and you know, the more that we collaborate, the better. So we're coming to an end of our little Changemakers interview. Were there any points that you wanted to add, Adam?
No, I mean, like I said, I think the most important thing is that I think we all do our part. I mean, like I'm in a fortunate position where I have started my own company almost 8 years ago now, and the goal for me was to always kind of go down the sustainable route. Unfortunately, 8 years ago, I couldn't go down that route because I didn't find the right. I mean, I couldn't find the right amount to invest in and things like that. So money was definitely a factor in the early stages, and then also the fabric wasn't so developed 8 years ago, and now it is, and it's definitely the way forward. But like, I think for me, it's all, we can all do our part. I mean, when it comes to fashion, I think we have to use what we wear multiple times, not just one-time use, or kind of wear it for one season, and you know, like, and I've been guilty. I mean, when I was a struggling entrepreneur, still struggling entrepreneur, I went to Uniqlo. I bought some t-shirts for cheap price. You know, like, that's because, you know, sometimes that's what you have to do to survive. But yeah, like I think the key is to have more than one use. That's the most important thing. I think if everyone can just use things more than once, especially for what they intend for, then at least we can reduce things by half, I think, at least.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's an achievable longevity, reuse it, and you know, buy from sustainable brands. So thank you, Adam. That's helpful. Thank you, Richard, for the good questions. Check out Tsunami Sports, everyone. They seem to be a brand on the pulse.
Yeah.
Of course, make sure to check out Mazu resort wear. I wear them all the time. Ocean. We will also be organizing. I think we're going to do a collaborative paddleboard beach cleanup soon. So keep your ears peeled for that. And thank you for joining, Adam. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did, and hope you learned something. And don't forget to check out Guppy bags when you wash your laundry, because that could help stop the microplastics from seeping into the water. I'll be having another Changemaker episode next Thursday at 7 p.m. Hong Kong time, and all of the recorded interviews will be on the IGTV. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Sean F. Thank you, Katrina, and bye for now. See you, Adam.